Hey guys, welcome to another amazing episode of Covering Boats with Aliex, and we got Greg here. We're at the Miami Boat Show, and we're gonna talk about boats, anchors, and a bunch of other stuff that you have here, some useful things, right?
A little bit ADD here, but yeah.
You know what? I'm really bad in front of the camera, so you're gonna be the star of the show. I'm just gonna grab the camera. We're just gonna follow you around.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is our 10.5-foot dinghy. Initially designed it as a replacement of an inflatable rib, right? So for the last 40 years, if you think of a small boat, you're really thinking about an inflatable with a rigid bottom. And there's a reason for that. There's a lot of advantages to an inflatable boat. It's stable, it's comfortable, but the main issues with it are that it has a high maintenance cost and horrible resale value. The idea of this boat was to have something similar to an inflatable in comfort and utility, but something that has low maintenance costs, right? So something you don't have to do much to maintain. And it has an amazing resale value because they're hard plastic and they don't really degrade. So that was the aim, right? So it's a little heavier, but as you can see, very roomy, very stable, and because it's hard, it's durable.
So what makes it safer?
Well, just the fact that the holes are made from hard plastic, it's very giving material, so it doesn't crack easy. So basically, it's really hard to destroy this boat. You could bump into things without worrying about hitting a nail or hitting shells. And like we talked about earlier, it doesn't require really any maintenance except scraping the bottom. Because the tubes are not 17 inches, you have a lot more interior room, storage bags. We have dry storage on the side of the tubes, glove compartments. The fuel tank is under the front seat. It's plumbed through the tube, so the plumbing is not in the way. It does have lifting points and forward and aft, so you could easily put it up on davits. A lot of places for, holding your rods or cups. So hopefully, if we succeeded, this is a boat that is very utilitarian. So very, very easy to use, really easy to maintain, and lasts you a lifetime.
Can you compare a little bit with fiberglass?
Yeah, so one of the main advantages over fiberglass is that it's lighter, a lot lighter. A comparable boat in fiberglass would be 500 pounds, we're 220 pounds, and a lot more affordable, right? So this boat sells at $5,500 as is without the motor. A fiberglass boat of the same size is a lot more labor intensive to make, so it'll be, I don't know how much, but a lot more expensive.
They have it around here, it's thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
For fiberglass, even a small one. You could fit 4 people on it. You got areas for cup holders and stuff. Dinghy wheels, fuel tank. What are we missing?
Bumpers all around the boat.
Oh yes.
So we have oars that are built in, that if you have an engine failure or you want to quietly sneak up on a good fishing spot, you can easily row. A cleat for anchoring.
And instead of having ropes all over the place, you got real handles.
Real handles.
And you got a lot of storage bags and areas to put stuff. Cool. So what else you have here?
So the way Mantus Marine, we started out as a ground tackle company. That means we made anchors and anchor connections. So that is the bulk of what we do. And then we have, and we'll talk about all those things individually, and then we have a diving division where we make a miniaturized scuba compressor. So if you're a diver and you dive on a boat, we will have a marinized small unit that draws very little power and you can fill up your tanks. We also have a miniaturized diving pack, which basically features a bottle that's 1/3 size of a standard scuba diving bottle. Makes it easy for you to get onto the boat, transfer it, just on a boat. It's really hard to dive with the full-size tanks. So a lot of times if you're not part of a scuba diving expedition and you have your private boat, it's a lot more practical to go in a smaller package. Here we have the Mantus anchor. And Alex, it might be, I have a presentation for this that maybe if your wife films or your wife is a customer, let me show you what I'm talking about, then you tell me how you want to film it. So we show tip pressures. When you drag an anchor, the bottom feels the tip, and that really decides, the pressure on the tip really decides if the anchor is going to dig or not, right? Trying to set an anchor, and you drag it along the bottom. What the bottom feels is the pressure on the nose, right? That really decides if the anchor is going to set or not, right? So that pressure decides whether the anchor is going to set or not. So try that. Put your finger over here, feel the pressure of the Delta. It's one of our competitors, very common anchor, and compare it to ours. Is it different?
Yeah. One
Yeah.
carrier.
So we provide a lot more pressure on tip. You could try this one as well.
Yeah.
What that means is the anchor sets regardless how hard packed the bottom is or how much grass there is. And that's why the dinghy anchor, only weighing 2.5 pounds, actually works. So all our small anchors are made to where they're modular without any bolts, so you can easily put them together. So this is an amazing anchor for a jet ski or a boat under 16 feet.
Or a paddleboard, or a kayak, or anything, because that thing just works.
You found out yourself, huh?
Yes.
And then a little protect if you're in an inflatable, not our boat, but you're worried about the sharp end, then you could put that on. A little protect if you're in an inflatable, not our boat, but you're worried about the sharp end, then you could put that on. That comes as a kit that comes with line, shackle, and a little bag, so it's really easy to store.
So
And
why is it that it's so easy for that to get? I mean, I guess we already went through it, the pressure, right?
Exactly, exactly.
So does it like dig in? Like it goes
Yeah,
in?
so the pressure
It's like
on
a
the
needle?
nose, yeah, we didn't reinvent the wheel. Anchors have been around for a long time, but what we did is we optimized the performance to penetrate those hard bottoms. And a lot of times, people say sand. There's very different types of sand. If the granules get fine, they get packed tighter. And that's a really hard bottom. A lot of anchors don't work. What we guarantee is the first time you deploy it, every single time, the anchor is going to set.
And it does. It hasn't failed once yet. So then why is it so easy just to pull the rope and
On the
get
way
it
up?
out? Yeah.
Yeah, so when you pull along if you pull along the length, the flatter you are, and people always say in anchoring that the more line you have, the more scope, the smaller the angle between the line and earth, the better the anchor works. So if you pull flat, you can see the anchor wants to dig in. If you pull up, you're really just dislodging the anchor, right? Most of the force is up. But the more the force is oriented in the direction of a trail of the anchor, the better the anchor will work. And that's true of any anchor.
Let's say you anchor for the night. Can that lose anchor on its own? Like is there?
Well, it's always possible to dislodge an anchor, but the anchor will dislodge, it shouldn't happen. If you anchor for the night and you set an anchor properly, if you're not talking about unforeseen weirdness of, hitting a rock or something, things can happen where the anchor can get foul. But short of that, an anchor that is well dug in should be able to rotate as the wind changes, should be able to reset itself. I think all of the anchors on the market, this is by far the most reliable anchor where you could leave it and forget it, right?
So how can you simulate what is a bolt pull compared to you actually getting?
Yeah, why don't we actually hook up the line and do this a little bit more of the...
Oh, look, it's on TV. Yours dig in, the other one wants to pull out.
So we're trying to show what happens if you overpower an anchor. So if you drag the anchor parallel, it kind of wants to dig in. But if the bigger the angle, the worse the performance. And obviously if you pull straight up, the anchor just comes up.
And a boat will pull parallel instead of up.
Depends on how much line you put out. The more line, the better the performance. So obviously if you are, we call the ratio of depth to the length of line scope. A scope of 10 to 1 is ideal. That means the length of line is 10 times the depth. And when you calculate the depth, you have to include what we call freeboard from the water surface to the top of the boat, to the deck of the boat. So you take the depth from the floor to the water surface and the distance from the water surface to the deck, you add them together, that's your total depth. That's the effective depth. And the length of the line, 10 times the depth, will give you perfect performance. Sometimes it's not practical because you don't have enough room. So
Right.
people often anchor 5 to 1, 7 to 1 scope, but in a storm, 10 to 1 scope. And that gives you as flat of an angle as practical for the best performance of the anchor.
Perfect. I think I learned everything I needed to learn about anchoring right here. So this is a master class in anchoring. But let's say I have a giant boat. What do I do?
Giant boat, well, you have a bigger anchor, you probably have chain, and we have some accessories for that. So here we kind of have a setup. This is the 35-pound Mantus anchor on our bow roller, and you see it's connected to chain via a swivel. So that's one of the products that we have, is the Mantus swivel. What's interesting about it is you can see that these are kind of the swivels available on the market. And a lot of times people put swivels where they put the jaws of the swivel on the anchor, like so. And that really can stress the jaws. And you can see what happens when you side load the swivel. That is why we designed the swivel with the shackle. So the swivel can articulate around the anchor shank. The reason for the swivel is to make sure that the anchor comes up upright and the chain doesn't get twisted from prolonged anchoring. The swivel undoes the turns in the chain. Our swivel also features an oblong pin that takes all the space within the chain link to make it as strong as possible. And it's very easy to inspect. We provide mooring solutions if you want to moor your boat or mooring ball, locking snap shackles that allow you to easily pick up a mooring ball. When closed, you can lock the pin so it doesn't accidentally come undone.
Cool. Did we miss anything? What is this? Who's gonna use this anchor? This is like for like a 40-foot boat?
So this is a 35-pound anchor, and roughly it's for 30 to 36-foot boats if they're cruising. And when we say cruising, it means living on anchor. So when we define that category, we mean 50 knots of wind, assuming horrible bottom, soft, mushy bottom. That's the one that has the least holding, right? We want you to be able to stay put in 50 knots and horrible bottom. So again, 30 to 35-foot boat, 35-pound anchor.
We missed something about that boat. We didn't mention where it's made.
We make these boats in Houston, Texas. And if you're ever in town, please drop by and we'll show you how we make it.
Cool, so it's cooked in the US.
Cooked in the US.
Let's go.
On the boat, you see these navigation lights. They come as tricolor or all around white. They have a quick disconnect, so you could take them off the boat. The nice feature about the lights is they have solar charging. You can also charge them via USB. Each light could be used in each quadrant or all quadrants. That's also true of the all-around white light. And you can mount them on the engine cowling, or you can mount them on the transom via pole.
Are they waterproof?
They are waterproof and warranted for 3 years.
Cool.